Hi, I'm Nathan Jones. We first stop in South Dakota at Whetstone Creek Outfitters, where we're hunting with Paul Teal. My cameraman Matt Owen and myself do our best to try to pull a double on a couple of his great big old turkey birds. This hunt was a lot of fun for Matt and I promise at the end of the hunt there's a little surprise that will put a smile on everybody's face. And then after Matt's face has a chance to return to its normal color, we'll join Wild Extremes pro staffer Glenn Longabaugh, where he runs and guns in the Midwest to try to take a way cool buck with his Martin bow. I'm glad you're all here today. This is Dead Downwind's Wild Extremes. Dead Downwind's Wild Extremes is being brought to you by Dead Downwind. At Dead Downwind, 99% just isn't good enough. Martin Archery, making the most accurate bows for over 50 years. Double Bull Archery, home of the Dark Archer. Height Point Broadheads, hunt with the best. And Huntress, scent prevention formulated for the female hunter. And also by these other great companies: Kicking Bear One-on-One, Mossback Game Calls, Copper John, Doinker Stabilizers, Lone Wolf Tree Stands, Women Hunters, and Chateau Berry.
Awesome, that is Wild Extreme. Yes!
This segment of Dead Downwind's Wild Extremes is being brought to you by Dead Downwind. At Dead Downwind, 99% just isn't good enough. At 4 a.m. this morning, waking up, and by 5 o'clock we had packs on our back in the walking through the canyons of the Black Hills. And now we're following Paul Teal. This is a new place for us. We'll be in here, going to start tomorrow on his turkeys. And Paul assures me that he's got a pack of turkeys. So I'm excited. We like to hunt turkeys here at Wild Extremes. And he's taking us out to the house. We're following him right now. And we'll get settled in the morning. We'll be up bright and early. And we are going to do some slamming on some turkeys.
This is where we're living. Come on, Paul. Get up here.
This is the homestead house. This is your house. There's nobody in there. If there is, there better not be.
Oh, here. Hold on. Knock again. Let's try this. Oh, Paul, hi. Come on in. I got coffee on. And welcome. Welcome to my lair.
This is your lair.
This is my lair. Where do we hunt from here? Just right here? Or
You want to go over the hill?
That's
you
where
can go
we-
there.
Okay.
You can sleep in till 7 o'clock, walk over the hill and probably get one.
But we've got Hazel Creek decoys, and they are actual mounted birds.
Yeah, the farm raised mounted
You
birds. Yep, I
would
read
not
about
believe
how they work. Huh?
how they work. you just well, and I shot a bird this morning in the Black Hills. Or actually, when I called you, we were trying to. There he goes again. Trying to get the bird done and get out of there. And that bird, they were all henned up bad, and you couldn't call them. So basically, we moved the blind 6 times, but finally, somewhat got in the way. And then me and Matt kind of tag teamed him with the calls and got the hens moving. And then, of course, here comes the strutter right after him. But then once he made visual of our Jake decoy, it was game on.
Yeah, yeah. He was ready
Puffs
to
up,
come
and here he
in.
comes right over, and he took it like a good boy. But they are way effective. So if you've got someplace
that these birds are coming in. Maybe like the alfalfa field where they'll come in and they'll see the decoys. I'm pretty confident it would be game on theirs.
It was just as Paul had said. From the sounds of the gobbles bouncing off of the opposing hillside, it looked like this morning's hunt would be over almost before it began. But like my mom always told me, never count your chicks before they're hatched. Or I guess in this case, don't count your gobblers before you blitz them with your tight point broadhead.
Guys, we're at Whetstone Creek Outfitters here in South Dakota. And I'm telling you what, we have got a lot of birds gobbling to us right now. There's a big pile of them. They just flew down probably 5 minutes ago. And Paul Teal's the owner here, and he said that he's been seeing a lot of birds coming out to this field. So we got in here early this morning to set the double bull out. And it looks like we're in the driver's seat. We've got a lot of birds. And I think we're going to get one of them out here to our decoys. So we'll see. I'm up first. And hopefully I get one knocked down right here in front of the blind. And we're going to try to switch and pull a double this morning. So Nathan's behind the camera, and he's got an itchy trigger finger as well. So we'll see what we can do this morning. It's going to be a great hunt, though. We've got a hen right there. Bird's right there. Right in the corner. Should be coming out to the field here. Oh, there he is. I see him.
A lone hen was the first to show up in the alfalfa field, but we weren't the only set of eyes to see her. A huge tom from high on top of the hill had seen her and hustled her way, trying to beat all of the other gobblers to her. With our Hazel Creek decoys in front of our blind, combined with a live hen feeding within bow range, it looked like nothing could go wrong. Our plan was in motion and moving steadily toward a successful ending. As the huge bird strutted toward our double bull, Matt grabbed his Martin Slayer and got ready to finish the game, when suddenly the huge bird's demeanor totally changed. Something was afoot, and that something was a whole squadron of jakes. A single mature tom can take on 2 or 3 jakes, but when the jakes gang up in multiples, their numbers give them courage, and they can be downright vicious to the mature birds if they get them surrounded. This big bird, knowing that he was outnumbered, decided today discretion would be the better part of valor, and left the hen to fend for herself. Once the strutter left the field, the street gang turned their attention toward our hapless Hazel Creek jake. We had witnessed it before on previous hunts and knew our decoy was about to receive a butt-kicking from a group of his peers that now thought they owned this piece of real estate. But you know what? On this morning in the Turkey Kingdom, they did. Matt threw a few calls at the young birds, if nothing more than just aggravate them and pay them back for pecking the paint off of Thomas, our Jake decoy's head. Even though Matt decided not to take any of these birds, it was still cool to have had such a close encounter. But with the number of jakes using this field, we decided that a move was in order. Dead Downwind's Wild Extremes will return in a moment. This segment of Dead Downwind's Wild Extremes is being brought to you by Double Bull Archery, home of the Dark Archer, and by Martin Archery, making the most accurate bows for over 50 years. When the jakes moved in our first setup, Paul had rolled in and moved us to a new area, and within an hour we were back in the Double Bull ready to rock on some good birds.
Through those jakes, I could see them on that hill.
We thought at first that we were in for the same situation. With a flock of jakes high above us patrolling the hilltop, we knew it wouldn't be long before this new group of hoodlums would be in front of our blind, giving Thomas our decoy hell. And here they came. These guys were in such a hurry to get to the decoys, they didn't even use the stairs. Instead, they jumped directly on the elevator and glided directly into our spread. We got ready to watch our decoy take it in the shorts one more time, when suddenly the posture of all the jakes changed.
I just heard a gobble. I heard a gobble up on the hill.
Matt looked out of the side of the blind and could see that we had longbeards on the hilltop. With more than one mature bird coming in, this time the jakes were going to have to give ground or lose some feathers. At Whetstone Creek Outfitters, they have not only Merriam turkeys, but Rios as well. On this trip, Matt had been after a big Merriam, so when this pair came strutting in, he had his eyes firmly glued on the bird with the white-tipped tail. Now, a little inside information about Matt Owen. Matt is all about killing trophy turkeys. In fact, when we had multiple longbeards coming into the decoys at the same time, Matt will usually have his binoculars out trying to judge spurling. My policy, on the other hand, is if he has a full tail, then he gets an arrow. Keep those two different perspectives in mind while you watch the rest of this hunt.
What a great hunt. Here, we're gonna... Here, Nathan, you want one?
Yeah.
Here, we're gonna switch up.
That bird's coming right across the top there. Matt and I just switched places. He just jacked his bird up. It's laying right there by the decoys. And that other bird's... he's coming in.
What we have found when you and your buddy are trying to pull a double on turkeys is that you have to drop the first bird on the decoys. Once the first bird is down, his buddy will almost always turn and start taking cheap shots at the bird that just seconds before he was cruising fields and forests with trying to pick up chicks. Matt had done his job, dropping his bird right into the decoys. And even though the second bird had run off, he couldn't stand not being able to thump his buddy.
He's coming right to Matt's bird.
He had no clue that he was about to meet my tight point broadhead.
I think he's down, boys. Guys. What's up, Matt? Brother? How's that, guys? I'll tell you, we pulled us a double. This is our first morning. And I had talked to Paul, and he said, Nathan, I got a lot of birds here. And Paul does have a lot of birds. Matt, let's put our tail feathers up here.
Yeah.
And see what... look at my beautiful fan on...
Look at me.
Oh, Matt. Oh, Matt. Why, look. I can stick my hand all the way through your fan. What happened, buddy?
He's a fighter, I guess. So.
You got to quit shooting those ballistic tip tight points. I mean, all there is, guys, is just some
right
fragments. Holy cow.
battery.
Good for you.
Half of 3 and all of 1.
Yeah, wow. I feel kind of bad about my beautiful bird. And the reason you didn't shoot this bird, and you could have, but he had this one little wing feather, and it was sticking out, and you said, no, I want a perfect bird.
Well, look at this.
And by God, you got your perfect bird, didn't you?
Hey, it's all good.
It is all, I'm telling you what, this has been a fantastic hunt, guys. What a pair of beautiful birds. And Paul Teal, thanks again, man, for having the Wild Extremes crew here at Whetstone Creek Outfitters, because this has definitely been a special hunt and one that we'll remember forever.
This segment of Dead Downwind's Wild Extremes is being brought to you by Tight Point Broadheads. Now you're hunting with the best. And by Huntress, scent prevention formulated for the female hunter.
Hey, good afternoon. You know, my meeting lasted a little longer than it was supposed to today, and apparently it was a pretty good meeting because everybody wanted to stick around and talk afterwards, even though this is the second week of November, and a guy should be in a tree stand every chance he gets. Anyway, I don't have enough time to go to Crawford County, which is where I really wanted to hunt today, but because I'm an agronomist for a seed company here in Southern Illinois, I've got a lot of area that I can hunt, and I've just kind of got stands here, there, and yonder. And the only stand that I can make it to today sits on a CRP field. I shouldn't say it's the only stand. It's the only stand that I can get to, you know, and still have an hour and a half of daylight. That's really set up for a south wind.
Glenn is right. If you're going to be successful on a consistent basis, then that means spending every spare minute that you can find in pursuit of your goal. I know it's easy to feel that if you don't have several hours to spend in the tree or blind, then it's not worth the effort. But it doesn't always take those long hours to get your deer. Sometimes the plan comes together in mere minutes. On this hunt, Glenn barely made it into his tree before this buck arrived. Glenn had just pulled his bow into the tree when he saw this buck cutting through the CRP. Glenn hurriedly threw a few bleats the buck's way, and here he came. Now, while this may look like Glenn was lucky, and in a way, I guess he was, in that, to a certain extent, it is luck when a buck appears under your tree or in front of your blind. But on this hunt, Glenn had created his own brand of luck. He had invested tons of hours in scouting, and while doing so, had discovered that this field was a travel corridor that bucks used. So he knew that all he had to do was grind out every spare minute he could find in this tree, and at some point the law of averages would take over, and all of his efforts would be rewarded. This hunt was about to come to fruition.
Yes, baby. He is down. He's not the biggest deer I've seen this year, but he's just such a cool, non-typical. And he had kind of a catch in his giddy up. And you know, sometimes a trophy is just an eye of the beholder. I'm running out of time here in Illinois, and I thought it was time to put a deer on the ground because I've got some great spots back in Indiana that I'm wanting to get to. He's not a super monster, but he's a nice deer. Well, I shot that rascal right up there. And that arrow should be, the thing should be right in here. So there it is right there. It's right on the wide open. Man, that's the way an arrow is supposed to look right there. That is exactly the way an arrow is supposed to look. Oh my word. Oh, you know, this is not what I pictured shooting in Illinois this year. I really wanted to shoot a big super monster. But you know, I let a non-typical that wouldn't score get away from me a few years ago in Indiana. And a good friend of mine, Charlie Geyer, told me when you get a chance to kill a nice mature deer, especially if it's got something unusual like what this one's got going, he said, you got to shoot that deer every time. What a dandy buck. I am tickled to death.
Hey, thanks for going hunting with us today here at Dead Downwind's Wild Extremes. I want to send a great big thank you back to Paul Teal of Whetstone Creek Outfitters for hosting the crew of Dead Downwind's Wild Extremes to an awesome one-of-a-kind turkey hunt. If you're looking for a great place in South Dakota to slam a great big Merriam with a bow, this is the place. Just call the number we ran during the show. You can contact Paul and book a hunt of your own. And Glenn, thanks so much for all of the energy and effort you put into doing what you do as you help make Dead Downwind's Wild Extremes what it is. I'll see all of you right here next time where the slammin' will continue.
Dead Downwind's Wild Extremes has been brought to you by Dead Downwind. At Dead Downwind, 99% just isn't good enough. Martin Archery, making the most accurate bows for over 50 years. Double Bull Archery, home of the Dark Archer. Tight Point Broadheads, hunt with the best. And Huntress, scent prevention formulated for the female hunter. And also by these other great companies: Kicking Bear One-on-One, Mossback Game Calls, Copper John, Doinker Stabilizers, Lone Wolf Tree Stands, Women Hunters, and Chateau Berden.
Man, he got us a monster.
This has been a Wild Serenade production.